Game 1 goes to eUnited rather handedly. Let's take a look at Game 2 and see if they can reproduce the same stuff they did earlier on. Switching around, Trifecta will have the first pick and the first ban, and they say no Osiris.
Tell you what, I don't think Benji's getting RTO again, by the way, because he just was a lot to handle for Trifecta there.
No surprise to me. When I think of Benji, I think of characters that always stay alive. Benji, again, sticking with the idea that eUnited plays what the hell they want, meta be damned. Benji was playing Hercules before he was Hercules, and all these characters just kind of, their presence stays around. He's got a Nike.
I don't know if I've seen him play Nike. Amaterasu is the one that always comes to mind whenever it comes to Benji, but the Bellona, the Osiris, the I'm going to do what I'm going to do and you're going to handle that, like that's the characters that Benji likes to play. Yeah,
and so the RDO just kind of sticks in there, and you're right. eUnited, well, eUnited are going to ban out RDO, thinking that it's...
They don't want to deal with it either.
First pickable. So Trifecta here with their first selection. Go with the Cabrakan in typical Trifecta fashion. Here's my concern. I don't think you need to first pick this unless eUnited have control of your playbook.
No. You took the words basically right out of my mouth. Cabrakan could have been last pick for Trifecta here. I don't think there's any way that eUnited end up banning that away, but I'll tell you what, it's a pick for Trifecta and it doesn't show their hand. And that's kind of, that's the benefit of going with something that makes eUnited say, really? That's what you're going to pick right here?
Well, I'm trying to also think about the benefits of picking Cabrakan first. You're letting eUnited know that you have to pick characters that can get out of Tremors and the Ultimate, so maybe that forces them away from the Skadi, but eUnited say, no, we're going to pick Skadi anyway. Maybe that might be the thought process?
Could be. I've given up on trying to understand Trifecta.
Well, I mean,
that's the point. We're week 2, and we're here already.
Well, because there are selections as Fafnir is the Guardian for eUnited. There are selections that will dictate the picks and ban phase, right? For instance, Awilix might not be first pickable, but or she might not demand to be first picked. But if you select her first, you're sort of guiding the team into don't go jumps, right? If you pick Odin first, you're guiding the enemy team into don't go healers. What is Cabrakan guiding eUnited into?
Buy beads? I guess. Like, I don't know. I truly don't. I am at a loss for why it's a first pick. I truly think that Trifecta could have gone Terra first pick, not shown anything, gone Thoth or whatever the hell they want in that third slot, and then picked Cabrakan last. I think it would have worked.
I got to agree with that one. I gotta agree with that one. Bands coming out, the Hoyi, the Ares, obviously one of those Demis is incorrect. We'll get to that in a moment. And then Nox is perhaps the more important band coming out for Trifecta.
You really don't want to play against Venenu's Nox, apparently, and I don't blame him because he is excellent on that god, and even with just Fafnir Hammer as a setup, you're going to be able to guarantee that combo well enough to set up for him, and he has proven that he's very comfortable on that god.
Hellband makes a little bit more sense coming out from Trifecta. Not going to leave that available as Skadi could just shift into the hunter position and give mid to Hell. Vulcan will be the selection for eUnited, likely to be in the hands of Venenu, whereas Trifecta go Cynosure and give him Serqet. With the last selection for Meerkat, the hunter of choice. Where are you thinking? Ram.
I'm thinking Ram.
I like how you waited for it to show up and then say that.
Oh, no, my eyes were closed. I couldn't see, I guessed.
Sounds good, Chad. Last pick for eUnited is going to be likely a...
Jungler?
Solo laner.
Could be. I don't know. I think I'm giving Chulainn to Benji right now. Chulainn kind of regarded as one of the stronger picks right now.
Actually,
Benji, one of the stronger players for eUnited, no doubt. Scream still has Thor, and his Thor was excellent in game number 1. Not the best matchup into Serqet because she can interrupt your Berserker's Barrage in a number of ways, but still wouldn't be an awful pick here because you can block off the Terra, the Thoth, the Cabrakan.
Thanatos.
No.
Scream is a nice Thanatos.
He does have a nice Thanatos. He does have...
it's going to be the Awilix. There it is.
Interesting.
And, sorry, folks, this just in. Cabrakan is not the selection first overall for Trifecta. It will be Camazotz. So
that makes more sense.
Makes a little bit more sense. Trifecta with the solo lane Camazotz. A lot of sustain on this character, something that Kiki loves to play, and absolutely first pickable.
Yes.
So with that in mind, we take to the battlefield for game number 2, eUnited versus Trifecta.
Game 2, Trifecta trying to bounce back from that Game 1. A little bit disappointing there, but I like this draft already from Trifecta. This is gods that everyone is comfortable on. Cynosure, we were talking about his kind of debut into the PC Pro League. How big was his god pool? Serqet was the god that they were picking for him.
It was Serqet, not John.
Right away.
Yeah.
And he was dominant from the get-go. Love this pick for Cynosure. Does it shut down any particular healing on eUnited? No, I don't care. It's just a good god that can really get the ball rolling in the early game. And I feel the exact same way about Screammmmm on the Awilix.
Yeah.
Awilix, in my mind, probably the most underrated character in the game right now. Well, no, everyone always underrates Nike because for some reason. Awilix is right there in terms of gods that can make an insane impact in the early, mid, late, doesn't matter. Awilix is really good. It doesn't matter if she's pulling in the knockups. You don't need a million knockups on your team, or the enemy team doesn't have to have 5 jumps. Awilix is going to be able to get the job done regardless.
And also, Awilix's ability to take care of towers by using that ultimate for its secondary effect, attack speed, and power is incredible. And early game, she does everything. She's so devastating in the early game. If you get Feather Stepped at level 1 or level 2, you're basically dead.
Mifflin, the jungler for Obey Alliance on the console scene, once told me that Feather Step is actually an execute from levels 1 to 3.
I would believe that, because that half second is all you need to pile a couple extra basics into the character. Don't forget, she's got extended range. You don't have boots yet. You're gonna get dead. I really like this selection for Scream.
They're gonna get dead?
Yeah, you get dead. DED.
Oh, okay. I was thinking DEAD, but that'd be different.
I don't know what you're talking about there, Chad. Having some issues?
Nope.
All right.
Everything's fine.
Just checking. Kiki making sure to get that blue buff, very important for him. And you know, you mentioned the Serqet with respect to the healing. I've never even thought, there's the knockup, and the Feather Step executed. That's the first blood for eUnited.
Awilix is so much fun to watch, so dynamic, so many little things you can do with this kid.
From?
Well, I mean, the Mayan pantheon. I don't know. What do you want me to answer there, Tom?
I mean, she jumped out of the jungle. It was fun. She came from nowhere.
Oh, okay.
That's where I was going.
I thought you meant literally.
What is the origin story?
You know what?
Like a 3-season spread on Netflix? That's all I'm saying here,
Mayan lore, not my strongest suit.
Oh, it's mine.
Oh, really? Where did Awilix come from?
Well, you see, it all started.
You messed up.
Is my mic back? Okay, we're good.
Wow. The old F.origin story play. I see you.
But for real, I mean, that's one of the nice things about this character is she just comes out of nowhere, her ability to jump out with the cat, PandaCat, in trouble. And he's going to use the shell to save his life. Nice play by PolarBearMike. Rotation one more time.
Same exact MO. There's the Feather Step, and now Meerkat has to use the Purification Beads. Aror gets left behind. Love Scream going for the second auto. Don't always need it, but in that sense, you spread out that damage, the extra damage on the Feather Step, but it also means that Auror's getting hit by that damage as well because he's grouped up with Meerkat. Scream already 2-0.
And the Suku makes her highly mobile, able to go over there in that duo lane and say what up. And again, early game, 2-0 in just as many minutes. That's what you have to expect out of this character.
Really nice jump there by Kiki. Probably would have been a kill for Benji. Might be a kill for PandaCat on this left-hand side. Caldier is going for it, but Meerkat's auto takes care of it. Caldier just got soloed by Meerkat.
You were waiting for that for so long.
I wasn't confident we were going to get a real one, so I had to take it when I saw it.
Oh, man. Rough stuff for the substitute. As long as you know what would really do it for me, for you longtime Smite fans out there. I'd love to see somebody in that duo lane just build a mystical mail. Meerkat, he has always hated this item.
Yep.
And I would just
you know what? PandaCat's the one to do it.
PandaCat would be like, hey man, I'm just trying to clear the wave. Second item, mystical mail. Nearly throw the game for it.
PandaCat just tilts off the face of the planet in a heartbeat.
Oh man, that would be a lot of fun.
That'd be really funny.
PolarBearMike could do it.
He could, sure. And honestly, Benji might in this game. I mean, Gladiator Shield.
Meerkat's playing against a character that has mystical mail built into the kit.
You're right. That's even better. Then he could build another mystical mail. And
double mysticals, just pulsating damage while Meerkat just like walks away.
Just sighing. This is my life now.
Oh man, it's good to see Meerkat come back. One of the more celebrated dudes in the scene, just always around. Played on some of the early original teams way back when, before the SPL was a thing. It's fun to watch that. Was Meerkat on the squad with Aror going way back when to Chunks? Is the question I'm asking myself right now.
He might have been. I feel like all those players that play weird stuff and have like fringe god pools all played on Fat Chunks at one point.
Cyclone Spin, Grishank.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was weird god pools the team, basically. And
Hurriwind.
Maybe was Meerkat at some point. Meerkat was part of the original Ran gang.
There you go.
That's where he got a lot of his recognition.
Yeah, fun stuff over there in Soul Lane for Meerkat. And again, that's probably where he got his hate of Mystical Mail.
Probably.
But early on, eUnited starting this one with 2 kills. Scream not really doing much with it, however. Since then, Cynosure been able to farm and just catch up with him. Level 7, no big deal.
Look at the XP per minute right behind him. Cynosure is right there with Scream thus far. So it's just a matter of, with that extra gold that Scream has from the first blood bounty, excuse me, can he try and make a play by finishing off his first item a little bit faster than Cynosure can? Try and make an impact. He's gone for the Talaria boots, really trying to take advantage of how quickly he'll be able to rotate on Suku. And I don't mind this. You're going to be doing a lot of damage with Feather Step anyways. Do you lose some of that 100-0 potential? Yes, but with itemization, you kind of make up for that lost DPS. Hydra's Lament, an excellent item onto Awilix, because pretty easy to weave auto attacks in between her abilities. That can make up for the DPS loss of Hydra's, or of Warrior Tabai. Do not want to see Heartseeker paired with Talaria, though. That is the one that kind of, I always ask myself, why are they building this? Because you're losing power off the Warrior Tabai, and Heartseeker is just deal your power off of an ability, and you're not going to be getting as much out of it if you go for the Talaria.
I like the choice by Trifecta to go ahead and zone out PandaCat on the left side. But, you know, it's interesting as eUnited trying to punish these guys, 2 players in the wings. PolarBearMike shows his face, and, well, Screammmmm back to base. Awilix does so well with power. I mean, her passive gives her extra power when she jumps in and surprises everybody. You know, the Talaria boots kind of, you lose a little bit of that.
A little bit, but you're accentuating another one of her strengths, which is how quickly she can rotate between lanes. You're also keeping your gold income up, so you're going to be able to use a little bit more. You might lose in terms of that. Maybe you get your item a little bit quicker, and then you can get that extra power from that and make an impact in the team fight instead. I think it makes sense here for Scream. I know guys like Captain Twig are really into building these boots on junglers, even basically all junglers. I think it makes more sense on the Awilix than it does on most other assassins.
And like you said, it does take away your 100-0 potential, and you know, even I was touching on the damage output, but at a high level, 100-0 is not ever, if it is not really required. Rarely, if ever, because it's such a team game. No such thing as the 1v1 in pro level play, and you're always just going to have a teammate. You don't need to do 100% of the damage. Somebody else is providing help almost always.
That's true, and so you don't have to worry about that quite as much. And ooh, Scream used the ultimate there on the knock up through the wall. I love this ward placement to give him that option, but was just a little bit too far away. Hurriwind being in the middle of the lane. If Hurry's even one step to his right, probably gets yanked over that wall, but unfortunate there. Don't know if he knows that ultimate's down, though. Could not be a big deal for United's jungler.
It makes a decent sound. Nice knock-up. Cynosure still able to avoid the ultimate out of Venenu there. No trouble for the Serqet. I think you still hear it, though.
I mean, he's so far. You're far enough away that it's not pulling. You're using your abilities in the mid lane. Either way, Scream won't be waiting for it for too long. Gravity Surge not on a particularly long cooldown, pretty standard.
Hear me out.
Yeah?
Skin idea.
I know where this is going.
Do you?
Serqet?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you just said it.
Yeah, you looked at me like I had 7 heads.
Yeah?
Like I was
please
3.5
Please
Ognies.
flesh out the skin for me.
Anyway, so it's Cynosure, or it's the Serqet in a cat costume.
That's it? I thought you were going to have a little bit more than that for me.
Maybe he's wearing a funny hat. I like funny hats. Funny hat, Serqet?
No, I don't think I'd buy that. I would. I know I would.
You totally would.
I know I would.
I'm a fan. I think it'd be great.
And for you to say you're a fan of something cat-related, too.
I mean, listen, cats are obviously, you know, not S tier, but we all play Neath every now and then. You're a mid laner. You gotta play Neath every now and then.
You have to. Yes, you have to. It just... Move on. I'm done with this.
You know how often I hear that on aggro on a weekly basis? Pretty often, honestly. And what we don't see as often, perhaps we should see more of it, is I was just going to compliment this pick of the Camazotz in the solo lane. I love the sustain, but right there, well, he gets a little bit of control, and eUnited successfully push him out of the solo lane. Likely going to take his tower here. I want to see more Camazotz solo.
Everything about how Scream played that gank was perfect. Everything about it, except for the fact that he doesn't have Warrior Temai.
Yeah.
Because otherwise he would have had enough damage to kill him.
Yeah.
In order to continue that knock up to make sure that Kiki can't do his ultimate, it was absolutely flawless.
Meerkat gonna look for the ult for the Gold Fury steal, question mark? Cynosure looks for the kill on the right side. eUnited, interesting. They kind of go the opposite way. Usually Smite 101, Benji in trouble under the tower, Aror trying to handle it himself. Hurriwind shows up, evens things up 2-2.
And now with this speed buff invade as well, that actually ends up being in Trifecta's favor, even with eUnited getting that Gold Fury. Because eUnited didn't get the tier 1 tower, they lose 2 kills and a buff. Could be the Portal Demon as well.
Now the tables have turned. Last game, Trifecta got a Gold Fury and didn't really matter. Now it's eUnited's turn to be on the bottom side of that. Venenu surrounded, tosses up the ultimate, still deals damage to a slew of players. But Cynosure right here and waiting. Hurriwind cleans up what everybody else had begun. Portal Demon goes the way of Trifecta as well. And so with 15 seconds towards 11 minutes, eUnited still leading, but just barely. About 1,000 gold we're talking here.
Kiki was able to solo that Portal Demon while the rest of his team was off killing members. Venenu, the one to fall there without the purification beads, even though Cyno used the ultimate to finish off Scream on the top right side. Still enough teamwork between Hurriwind and Cyno to find that kill. And that ends up, again, in Trifecta's favor. Yes, they lose the Gold Fury, but getting a buff, 3 kills, and a Portal Demon, that's a lot more experience in Trifecta's favor, and experience still matters just as much, if not more, than gold at this stage.
Oh, Benji tried to stop the back of Kiki, and he's none too happy about it. Jumping onto the solo lane and bringing Benji down to about half HP. Surprise, blink forward, Cobra's kissing the zigzag, plus the ultimate. Kiki gets revenge. Don't you dare stop my back.
That was really good by Cynosure, using that Death's Bane to give himself some knockup immunity, making sure that he won't get knocked up. Now that means tier 1 tower is going to fall on the right-hand side. Another 500 gold for Trifecta, basically evening this game up.
I love the Camazotz selection in the solo lane. He's so much sustain, very strong, pairs exceptionally well with the Gladiator's shield and the Death's Toll. We're talking Ability Weaver plus the ability to go ahead and hit multiple characters with the basic attacks. Kiki was one of the first, if not the first, to bring him out. And then since then, we've seen a couple of solo laners dabble, but I guess doesn't bring that frontline presence the way a traditional warrior does.
But you can kind of build him as a frontline presence and really rely on the base damage to do the majority of your work for you, and that seems to be the route that Kiki is taking here. Probably going to be a Hide of the Urchin next item, try and get that up and running before the big team fights start breaking out, so you can utilize that passive if your team is to get any kills. Another Thorns though for him, and I'm a little bit worried about his how squishy he could be if pulled into the entirety of the enemy team. But Bat Out of Hell comes out so quickly that you can just use that, and even with Scream playing it perfectly as he did before, you'll be able to stay safe for the most part.
Yeesh, Meerkat taking the fight against PandaCat, not going to be the case. The feline meets his demise as Screen shows up and hits him with a feather step. Another kill for the Awilix jungle, 3-1-0.
Yeah, really well timed there, waiting out that Aegis on the right-hand side. Kiki's looking for Benji with Cynosure's help. And again, the ultimate comes out from Cyno. One auto attack should guarantee it. He's dead. Kiki's going the wrong way, forced back towards the tower, but he actually escapes.
Yeah, he goes the wrong right way because of the Vulcan ultimate. All looks good here. Now Cynosure trying to deal with Venenu, who shows up with the Aegis a little bit late. Hurriwind a little bit to the right, and eUnited a little bit okay, but that tower on the left side, a little bit dead.
Scream using that ultimate, as you mentioned, he gets so much attack speed and power from it. PandaCat going to use an ultimate of his own just to tank up that tower. So tier 2 falls on the left. On the right-hand side, Hurriwind went for the blind shot underneath that tower. He's got no vision of where Venenu is whenever he fires off that final judgment. can't quite tell from the overhead look, but that was just looking for the play. You got to respect it because Hurriwind knows probably not going to need that ultimate in the next few moments anyways. He's got the sands of time, 10% CDR. May as well fire that off and try and clean up that kill, which would really set Venenu a little bit farther behind.
Yeah, I mean, I like that play a little bit. Five kills for Trifecta, and I'm glad to see Scream use that ult for the tower push. I think it's such an underrated. Everybody's always looking for the pull. Look for the hot pull. But the ability to just, it's so much power and attack speed. Something like 40 attack speed and I think almost 50 or 60 power. Just give it to you. It's
enough. It's enough to get the job done. Awilix not really in the conversation among gods that can burn objectives, towers, gold furies, fire giants even. But if you're willing to commit that ultimate, certainly in that category of gods that you can't really leave alone on an objective with another teammate.
Now, however, we are getting to the point of the game. Well, geez, it's only 15 minutes in. As the game gets later and later, Awilix becomes more and more of an issue to herself. Right now at level 14, this is sort of the beginning of the end, because that half second that you get immunity frames, but you put yourself in trouble with the feather step. Hold that thought. Right now, he's the one causing the trouble. Hurriwind able to get out of there thanks to a nice relic usage when Scream just waits a second and takes down Hurriwind.
Snipes coming through from Meerkat. Kiki gonna finish off PandaCat all by himself as Cyno goes around the backside waiting for PBM to jump over the wall, and he's ready for him, but a full health Venenu accompanying PolarBearMike means that Cyno doesn't feel too comfortable continuing this push. Benji's continuing to push on the right-hand side, and that's exactly where Scream is as well.
Again, just Scream doesn't have the ultimate this time since he used it in the battle, but was able to slowly tick down this tower. He went the Heartseeker. You don't like to see that one, but the power and penetration coming out from Brawlers, what is it, 40-15? Still a nice addition to be able to tick down the towers, but he does go that Heartseeker.
Well, that's Scream for you. His builds always, even his own teammates like to give him some ribbing for his builds at times. And by now, the Heartseeker's fine because you have some additional power to augment it. You're getting enough out of that item. It's just that building in that second item slot, even losing that 20 power, well, in addition to the scaling that you're losing off of it, can end up hurting you in the long run, and we saw that on the right-hand side where Kiki survives with 1 HP because of the build thus far. But by this point, Heartseeker's the right pickup. You've got plenty of power between the Brawler's Beatstick and working on the Titan's Bane as well, and he's going to be able to put it to good use.
Even with the build, are you concerned about the Awilix moving into the late game?
It does become more difficult to do what you want to do as Awilix, which is take those fights and turn them into your favor quickly when someone tries to jump away. But Awilix becomes a very potent 1v1 character in the late game. You pop that ultimate for the attack speed and the power, and you just box a hunter. I mean, you really can outbox hunters because of the fact that you've got that immunity as well. Another great knock up over the wall. Cyno with the quick beads this time gets him out of danger, but Scream forces it out with a beautiful play.
Yeah, very important that Cynosure doesn't get picked off there. Scream, the only one with the ultimate down on his side. Aror using the Terra's blessing a little bit earlier now. Teams are focusing more on the fire giant side of the battlefield this time as the game gets closer to that being a real relevant objective. Portal Demon looking for the second time this contest.
I like this ward placement from eUnited. They know this is going on, and Trifecta aren't aware of that, and Venenu's ultimate gets up and over the wall, does good damage, but the Portal Demon gets reset.
Nice leash just in time. Meanwhile, there's a blink from the left side out of the jungler. Trifecta trying to handle this, but it's eUnited doing the handling. Benji takes down Meerkat on the far side. Meanwhile, Kiki trying to deal with everybody else. And Trifecta, they're on the run as eUnited hitting the gas.
And this is where that tower being down really hurts Trifecta. They have to run all the way to the Phoenix. Benji gets stunned underneath that Phoenix, but still tanky enough to be able to handle it for the moment. Quick kill for eUnited, and they immediately turn back towards the Portal Demon.
I'm so excited because we always talk about opening the map up and map presence, and that the tower deaths are so much more than just the gold, and that, like you said, that's the proof in the pudding. I mean, that is the map presence that eUnited earned by basically doing their homework and just sort of just chipping down these towers one by one by one.
And it ends up not really paying off in kills, but you force Trifecta so far back that there's no one even close to contest that Portal Demon. I'm about 5K now. eUnited has really played well around Scream, who for me has really been running this game. I mean, he's got 4 of eUnited's 5 kills, and he's assisted on the other one. Everywhere that action has happened, it's been Scream, whether or not it's kills or the pushes. Remember, PandaCat, he goes over and joins him. They get both towers in left. He comes over to the right side after getting a kill in mid and helps Benji get the tier 2. Everything eUnited has done is revolved around this Awilix in the jungle.
You mentioned in game number 1, Trifecta never really had a moment where they were the aggressor, right? And that's because the Thor set the pace of the game. He was very early and often dipping into players' lanes, dipping into the team fights, and making sure that everything was on eUnited's terms. Well, that's exactly what Scream did. 2 minutes and 45 seconds, he has 2 kills already, and he hasn't really stopped any of that. He is setting the pace of the game. He's making Trifecta play eUnited's game instead of vice versa, and that's why, despite being down kills, eUnited find themselves up gold and experience.
And Scream gets to stay relevant as that assassin character as long as people are running away from him. Awilix really starts to become difficult to play whenever teams are running at you. They lose that fear. They're able to be the aggressors themselves. As long as your team's being aggressive, their backs are going to be turned, and that's exactly where Awilix wants you, because then that Moonlit Charge is going to knock you up, set up for the Gravity Surge. That's the entire design of this character. If you're running at Awilix, it's a lot easier to handle her, but in this situation, Trifecta can't really afford to do that. They have to be the ones retreating.
You know, you complimented the ward placement earlier from eUnited, and I gotta say, I continue to like that. The 2 wards on top of each other, sure, that's whatever. But all of this offensive warding, and I credit that to PolarBearMike. PolarBearMike really looks at the map really deeply and intrinsically and finds a lot of these not so normal placements, and I think that's a big part of why eUnited are able to make some of the calls that they do.
And it works out in their favor, especially when you got a gold lead. Those wards become so much more impactful because chances are your enemy is not buying as many wards because they feel like they need to save for power items. So instead, you just get complete map dominance in terms of vision, and that's exactly what's happened on the right side. Even on the left with these oracles, don't have to pay any gold. You actually get gold for taking them, and you get the vision.
50 gold. One time I was casting, well, before that was included in the game, and it was like the first meeting, it was like the first time I'd ever known about the patch before it was deployed. And I specifically remember as Cold Fury is being taken for free by eUnited. Hurriwind might fire a shot when it's far too late, and that's that. I remember specifically, I was casting and, you know, yeah, he's going to get 50 gold for that one. My co-commentator froze and then went, okay, and then just moved on really really unsmooth, and it was terribly hilarious. And I was called out on Reddit, and I thought I was gonna never show up again.
But here you are, watching eUnited take another free fire giant from Trifecta. No one in the neighborhood.
Okay.
And this is where the ward dominance comes in. Trifecta know they can't walk into this jungle at all without eUnited knowing exactly where they are.
Now, I spoke over the Gold Fury because I didn't really think it was that big of a deal, but you cannot let that fire giant go if you're Trifecta. There's got to be a way in there, Ryan.
I mean, look at the ward vision. Bottom right, bottom left, everywhere. Maybe Trifecta should be pushing on the left side of the map.
Me too. Me too, Cameron. Me too.
Giving them some global gold, but I don't know.
You got to be able to walk. You have to at least contest. You have to send somebody in there. It's a game separated by 5,000 gold.
And it is very early, but eUnited has so much objective damage between the Vulcan, the Skadi, who's built pure penetration, Scream on top of that as well with the build he's had. He's already level 18. It's just difficult for Trifecta to be able to show their face.
He's Thoth! Send him up the lane and shove it through the walls. I don't know, man. Down 5,000 gold?
But look at how many towers they're missing. That's the big thing, is that you can't, if you had a tier 2 tower there, Trifecta almost certainly goes in.
That's the best point I've heard this conversation, and I'm still not sold that Trifecta couldn't at least give it a shot. If Hurriwind, or anybody, not blaming an individual, if anyone jumps up there and dies 5v1, I'm less irritated than watching the fire giant go for free.
Well, now it's Trifecta's job to try and defend against this fire giant. Good news if you're rooting for Trifecta is that eUnited doesn't have a lot of gold left to strip from this map. I mean, they only have one tier 2 tower left to take down, whereas if Trifecta starts winning some team fights, they've got a lot of towers that can recoup that gold very quickly.
Kiki gets knocked up. A little bit of damage taken there, but no big deal. He's Camazotz. He'll be able to heal it up. So poking the Camazotz, not exactly a recipe for success. eUnited, however, not grouped up, and I like that call.
And I like this no Hide of the Urchin here for Hurriwind. They are going to need him to do big burst damage. Being behind, that's the best way to get it back into the game quickly, and he's going to be better equipped to do that by going for pure offense. I also like what Venenu is doing after this Hide of the Urchin, going for what's probably going to be a Stone of Fall, making sure that Hurriwind can't do that one shot.
Benji hassling the backline, allowing his team to pick up the tier 2 tower. No problems here in the middle lane. And as that tier 2 tower crumbles like cookies, it's the last tower available. Shout out to Rain Day for the crumbles like cookies. I like that line.
I like it too.
It's a fun one.
Pretty solid. And like I said, there isn't a lot left on the map for United to take. This 10,000 gold lead is about as bad as it's going to get.
Yeah.
Usually it starts at 8K and then they've got 3 tier 2 towers to take down, and all of a sudden you're down 1 million. 10,000's a lot, don't get me wrong, but Trifecta don't have much left to lose outside of these Phoenixes. The experience difference in games like this is usually worse than the gold difference. Not the case here. Only 7,500 instead of the 9,700 in the gold department. So Trifecta have the ability to try and fight into this if they group and if they work well as a unit.
Right now, eUnited certainly looking nice as a unit. Well-oiled machine. Trifecta, well, a little bit bumpy ride. 5-6, eUnited own less of those kills than Trifecta, but the gold lead certainly telling a different tale. Here, pushing up on the right-hand side will be eUnited, looking for that Phoenix. They're the ones just pushing in there. No real fancy start. Ultimate out of Hurriwind, bringing the support down to about half HP, but unconcerned, undeterred as eUnited, still Phoenix alive.
Not the ultimate the Trifecta was looking for there. It's got to hit onto a squishy target. That stun is onto a squishy target as Venenu forced into the purification beats. Kiki never even gets his ultimate off, though. Scream finds Meerkat as well.
Venenu on the back end, trying to shove that ultimate. And it's Aror that narrowly avoids the death from Scream. Right side
Nice
Phoenix down. Scream with the juke boots. And he's able to avoid one hit, which likely would have been a terminal. Now players blinking forward, looking for the Titan this early. I don't know about that one.
Benji looking for the ultimate, can't find her. Cynosure all the way into his fountain. That Titan's still pretty healthy. Scream gets stunned. He's gonna fall. PBM trying to protect his squad. Ven gets stunned out as well. 3 members of Trifecta still trying to continue this push.
Yeah, Venenu's safe and sound, and eUnited look like they're finally on the retreat here. But Aror, Sino, look at his pathing. Nice pathing from the assassin. They're still on the chase.
But he did get spotted out by a ward, so all of eUnited know he's here. Cynosure does have that ultimate available, but I believe he's already consumed the blink. So if he can get into the thick of things, might be able to make it happen for Trifecta. But I doubt eUnited is going to let him do that.
Yeah, the blink on cooldown still. Ooh, nice jump. I like how he thought about that for a second. Didn't want to jump right into the clutches of the enemy. Waited for Aror to show up and say, no, you can go over the wall. Team communication.
United going for the end there, I agree with you. Not the call. You got to just go for that mid Phoenix in that scenario. Try and knock it down. Now Trifecta has a window of opportunity. They've got that 4v5 advantage, and they're looking for Fire Giant.
I like this play a lot from Trifecta. Got to just grab the bull by the horns and take him out. This is going to be 25% of the objective. Meerkat not peeling.
Nice
full
ball.
Commit, but Benji's dealing with a roar. Meanwhile, Fire Giant going to be taken by Trifecta. The full commit from the Hunter pays off, but Sino and Aurora are already dead. Kiki could be next. He's pretty tanky.
Kiki's got to survive here if Trifecta want to turn this game around. He does have the ultimate, so now he's going to be able to get out. This time, able to use it before he falls. If eUnited only get 1 Phoenix here, I think it's still okay for Trifecta. If they lose both, it's in a bad spot, but it looks like eUnited doesn't even want to continue the push because they've only got 4 members. They lost Venenu towards the back end of that fight, and PandaCat, the one who's really important for this push, is pretty low on HP just at the beginning. So instead, they're going to pick up this Gold Fury, try and get their lead a little bit higher.
So I think I think what was going down in the minds of eUnited, right? I think what wound up happening was the mindset was, let's get the Phoenix and let's push into the Titan room. And if we don't get the kill, we'll fall back and get the Fire Giant and push one more time, because that was the timing for the Fire Giant seemed to be flawless. Sure. But I don't think eUnited intended on getting hit as hard as they did, and Trifecta taking the Fire Giant instead of them.
I agree with what you said initially, though, in that Trifecta, that was the best possible option was to pull fire there. You're on the back foot. You've lost every single tower. One of your Phoenixes is down. You're down 10,000 gold. And this is probably the best opportunity you have to take a fight outside of your own base. You got to go for that in that scenario. If Trifecta lose Fire Giant and 3 members there, then they lose the game, and that's probably what was going to happen to them anyways.
That's the key.
Now they have a fighting chance. Hurriwind might have enough damage now to one-shot someone like PandaCat or Venenu, where he might not have had it before. Got the Rod of Tahuti, has a Fire Giant buff, working on an Obsidian Shard. This is the best possible option for Trifecta to find this win.
Hurriwind certainly a big part of what makes Trifecta. This team a lot of fun to watch, but so far, no W's for them in week number 2. Such a tight game. You know, this game is obviously blown out by, as far as gold is concerned, over 10K, and 10K is usually my oh no timer. But the kills, so close, and the game has felt rather close. Although I think eUnited has had the upper hand a little bit. Trifecta always feel like they're 1.5 to 2 steps away.
And that's just kind of the nature of playing with a sub. I know we've harped on it quite a bit during this set.
Absolutely.
But it's kind of unfortunate because I really thought that this could be one of the better sets we'd have, and not that the set hasn't been a fun one to watch, but Snoopy's playing like one of the best hunters in North America right now, and with him at full speed and Trifecta at full strength, I still believe they're probably the team to beat in North America. And I'll bet you eUnited also would like a crack at full-strength Trifecta to try and prove me and other people who think Trifecta is a stronger team wrong, and also get a good measuring stick for where they are in relation to the European squads, because they didn't get a chance to go to DreamHack Valencia. They saw what Trifecta was able to do, and you can kind of, it's not one-to-one, but you can kind of get a feel for how they play and why they had success against the really strong European teams.
PandaCat and PBM, absolutely. I think they want to play the best team possible. Benji and Scream, I think they'll take the win. Either way, I think both sides of the squad are very happy that they're in the driver's seat right now. Right side Phoenix, there's the snatch, and there's the grab. PandaCat with number 10 for eUnited. Right side Phoenix barely alive, but they're not even aiming at the bird. They're looking at Trifecta. Right side Phoenix does go down. And now, instead of just pushing in, they're looking for the mid lane.
Little damage on the Benji from that ult from Hurriwind. PandaCat does have to be a little bit wary of his positioning as the Venenu ultimate comes in. Hurriwind still had the Aegis though, so he's going to be able to survive.
Meanwhile, Serqet going over the top, looking for the ultimate, shoving Scream back into it. It's not going to be enough.
Nice
Ram trying to finish it off, and it does! He gets it! Soloed by Meerkat.
And it's the poison spread onto Venenu. Auror's on the run very low. Good damage, and Cynosure blinks forward. Nice play. Madness. Still looking for it, but Venenu had the Aegis still available.
Such an important play. Now, you hit the nail on the head. I'm going to let you run with it. Meerkat didn't just go up in the ultimate to get one cheeky kill in his sub debut. It was a very specific player he targeted and needed to kill.
That spreads the Serqet poison out. Venenu now taking that percent damage, and he's got plenty of true damage, I should say, not percent damage. He's got plenty of protections between the Hide of the Urchin and the Stone of Fall. Doesn't really matter against Serqet ultimate, so that's a really smart play from Meerkat. Accuracy when it matters.
Yeah, I mean, that was I think the term I want to use is surgical, because sure, he hit his stuff, but there were a number of targets, and he specifically chose the one that was poisoned by Cynosure. That ultimately is what earns Trifecta the defensive stop. I don't think eUnited need to retreat there if that Serqet poison doesn't get spread.
Likely not, but either way, eUnited end up getting the Phoenix in that sense. As Hurriwind dashing forward, he's going to get gobbled up by Caldier really quickly, but Meerkat found one in response.
So it's a 1-for-1 so far, mid for mid, big damage guys. More importantly, objective secure guys go down with the Fire Giant dance just starting now.
I honestly think that favors eUnited though. I mean, so much of what eUnited has done has been PandaCat and Scream and Benji, and a lot of Trifecta's successful defense and team fighting has been what Hurric's been able to do. I think eUnited's okay with that trade.
Yeah, I think that's no problem. You can see Scream again activating the ultimate, this time just for the pure damage onto the objective. Want to make sure that there's no chance for Trifecta to come on in.
So now they have their second Fire Giant of the game, third in total, as Trifecta took one earlier on as well. Left side Phoenix, the only one that hasn't been knocked down for Trifecta, but eUnited looking to make that thing of the past pretty quickly here, as they are starting to feel like they need to end this game quickly, probably, because gold starting to matter less and less. Everyone's close to full build. XP already doesn't matter anymore because everyone is level 20 except for the supports and Kiki, but he'll hit level 20 very shortly anyways.
And Meerkat making plays.
And Meerkat's starting to make plays, so eUnited probably is starting to feel like we need to end this game sooner rather than later.
Gold Fury, again, going to eUnited. Now Screammmmm. How many M's is that?
I'm not counting, I refuse.
Folks, he looked at the screen real quick. I think he started the count and then just stopped.
Nope, not doing it. They don't pay me enough gems for that.
34 minutes here on the clock here, folks. Blackjack 21 on the kills, but it's eUnited that's winning this one. Looking to double down here as they approach what could be the final minutes of the game. Fire Giant around their waist for a couple of minutes here. And it looks like, as Ryan said, that we're pushing up the left-hand side here. Looking for the only remaining Phoenix. Right side Phoenix should respawn in a matter of moments, however. They have to keep their eye on that one, but, I mean, hey, they almost pushed into the Titan with one Phoenix down. I'm sure they won't mind two.
And Benji's on the right side of the map. I like what he's doing at this moment, making sure that wave is as pushed as possible, and also just threatening, hey, Trifecta, if you leave me alone, I'll take this Phoenix by myself.
Auror's gonna pop the ultimate nice and early as Cynosure looks to get things started very quickly. Unfortunately for him, it's PandaCat that pops open Cynosure, and that's gonna be the death of the jungler on the side of Trifecta. eUnited pushing forward. Venenu's ultimate hits nobody, but Kiki gets taken down by Scream. Bad luck 13 on the kills, but it's all good luck for eUnited coming towards the Titans.
Hurriwind's gonna fall. Scream claiming his 7th, probably about as many M's in his name, and eUnited get the win against Trifecta 2-0. May not have been against a full strength Trifecta. Those 3 points look the exact same on the standings. It's a big win for eUnited.
11 out of 14 of the kills featured Scream. 7, 3, and 4, just an incredible showing, honestly, on a character that we don't get to see too much.
And he looked great in week 1 as well. I mean, it's not going to be long now. It's probably already time to consider Scream one of the best junglers in North America. His god pool has widened. He started to be a little bit more traditional in the sense of what he's building, at least at times, and he's getting the job done. I mean, you can't argue with the results. He's looked great so far in the fall split.
He really has. The combination of him and Benji going forward on that Fire Giant side of the map, they've always felt like these characters that had the potential. They could really make that step to the next level. And while they've done it themselves, maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but I think the leadership of PolarBearMike is absolutely essential and a big part of why eUnited looks so spectacular.
Plus, I mean, don't forget this. I think he was playing under Verizio at the time, but Scream, Verizio, whatever you want to call him, did kind of assume that carry role for a while in previous seasons with this roster.
Right.
And then, you think, is he going to be able to do that again? He'd starting to fall off. It was just a different sort of team dynamic there for that squad. And maybe this losing of his mid laner that he had played with for so long, Chaos was his mid for the last couple years, you kind of readjust what your playstyle is like. You say, okay, I need to be doing more of this, less of this. And all of a sudden, you come out of the door and you're looking like one of the better players in your role on Earth. It's a good look.
For me, it's a Goldilocks story. It was when PandaCat went on vacation that he sort of stepped up, and I think he went too hard, right? And then PandaCat came back and he sort of like gave him the shadow, and it was almost like, all right, you took your foot off too much of the gas. And now finally, it's not easy to play Smite at the top level, so by no means am I criticizing how long it's taken him, but here, he's finally there, and I think this is a great look for eUnited. Could be a surprise team for the split.
I don't disagree with you. This is a squad that you cannot overlook. If you're, Trifecta, LG, ALG, any of these top teams in North America, you cannot afford to overlook what they're going to bring to the table because they can beat anyone on any given day.
At the same time, a 2-0 above Trifecta. Did you have that?
Once I knew that Snoopy wasn't playing, no, I still had Split.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, is that Trifecta is looking like one of the better teams, one of the best teams perhaps in the world.
Yeah.
In a league where we look at Europe as obviously the top notch, Trifecta looked like the team that was putting their foot forward and say, it'll be us that'll deal with Europe. And here they're getting toweled by eUnited. Something for Trifecta fans to be scared of?
Yes and no. I think that if you're a Trifecta fan and you're watching this set, you're saying to yourself, okay, we didn't have Snoopy, who, again, for my money, is playing like one of the best hunters on Earth right now and playing at a very, very high level. But I would probably want to make sure that we get back on track quickly next week, because you don't want to get discouraged. You don't want to fall behind. And keeping momentum rolling is such a big part of these seasons. We see teams do it all the time. You think of Allegiance during the summer split. They get on a great roll to start it off. They're near the top of North America. And they drop a couple games they probably shouldn't have. And all of a sudden, they start losing everything. Right. And then they fall out of the land picture. You want to avoid that if you're a Trifecta. But I'm here to tell you, I don't think you should be too worried. I still think that this is one of the best teams in the world.
You got Snoopy, of course, coming out of the woodwork later on, hopefully, as we move into the later part of week 2 and, of course, week 3. Well, that does that, but we had matches earlier on as well. Nice stuff, but Game 3 was also an interesting battle, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was something. You could say that much between Noble and a Mighty Storm. Long game in long one in Game 2 of that set. Game 1 is kind of what you expected there. Noble just showing their experience more so than what a Mighty Storm have. Maswell looked great in this set for what it's worth. He looked very, very consistent in the mid lane for Noble in both games. He was really the standout performer for me. A Mighty Storm still has a lot to work on. I mean, week 1, you kind of give them the pass. You're like, oh, they played Trifecta. Trifecta's one of the best teams in NA. You know, they'll get their footing. If you want to come into the SPL and make noise, you have to beat teams like Noble. Yeah. And today, they just didn't. Now, in Game 2, they did a good job of holding off, but it was more holding off than ever starting to get it in their favor, if you will.
For me, a Mighty Storm is one of those teams that when they came out of relegation, they were 3 players sandwiched by Ghost and Uzi, who did a lot of the heavy lifting in relegation. And then as it moved on, we saw a lot of Uzi, and Ghost obviously left the team. He's now back on the bench for Luminosity Gaming, as was his previous role. So now you just sort of have Uzi. And watching those games, it is Uzi. Uzi is performing, but unfortunately, I just don't feel like the rest of the squad is up to par. And I think this is going to be a trend going forward for this team.
Sometimes you need to come into the SPL and take your lumps and say, okay, I'm not good enough yet. And I need to learn from this and understand what these better players are doing to make my life more difficult. And that could be a growth period for some of these guys. You know, even if there isn't a lot of success for a Mighty Storm this split, and to be honest with you, I don't really anticipate it, even guys that aren't Uzi, that aren't doing quite as well at this level, can use this kind of opportunity to learn from their mistakes, learn what these top teams are doing, because there's no better experience than getting beat by these teams. It's the fastest way to learn.
A lot of these players that we look at today on the top teams are players that have gone through the ringer. I mean, I especially look at Hurriwind, who started off on lower end teams and just rose through the ranks.
Yep.
And now he is one of the more formidable mids in that position.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think that, you know, that could be the story of any of these guys. So absolutely something to look for if you are a fan of any of those guys on Kapow. Love that tag.
Do you?
Kapow! Either way, unfortunately for them, they wind up on the bottom of things as we take a look at the North American snapshot. But at the top, it is a little bit different. eUnited and Luminosity Gaming share number 1.
Right there, and LG and eUnited both looked great today. Can't wait for their matchup later on in this fall split, because they both look like they're playing at the top of their game.
A lot of fun stuff there. Of course, the top 4 teams will try to find their way to HRX. You can do so a lot easier. Just go to hi-rezexpo.com, and me and Agro will see you there in January. And of course, you can play at home this weekend as well.
You can, and you can earn 2 times favor. Make sure you get those games in. You can pop those favor boosters, then you're getting 4 times favor. Then you get to buy all those wave and clap emotes, and whenever you do something sweet, you just like wave on their course.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Sorry, folks, we did miss. That was Cupid on the screen, by the way, during the 2 times favor. So.
My fault.
Yeah. Come on, man. You gotta pick up on those full screens.
That's
anyway,
on me.
Yeah, that's how that works. But either way, fantastic performance today from most of our teams here on the North American side of things. For myself, my co-commentator Orion Bailey, and of course everybody behind the scenes here, we thank you for joining us. If you stick around, we'll be airing the caster. Tomorrow will be Smite Console League. Wednesday will be the live version of the caster. And of course, we're back here on Thursday. We love you, and we'll see you next time.